Hi, I'm Vicki.
Hi, I'm Ken.
Hi, I'm Jeff.
I'm Bud, and we are the Pickleball Krewe. Welcome to the fifth installment of the Pickleball Krewe's weekly podcast. In this podcast, Vicki will give us her shout-outs, Ken will review area tournaments, and then our group of pickleball nerds will dive into the subject of the importance of drilling. You do not want to miss this discussion. Hey, this is Bud, and welcome to the Pickleball Krewe podcast. Today we're going to start off with Vicki and her shout-outs.
All righty. I just want to give a shout out to our good friend Marguerite. My heart just hurts so badly for you. And poor thing was just getting back into pickleball from an injury, an ankle injury, I believe. And just recently had a fall and broke her wrist. And so she is out again, I think for 6 to 8 weeks. Marguerite, we feel for you, and we're hoping you do really well with your surgery and your recovery. We'll be thinking about you. We feel for you, and we just want to send our love. And I also want to send a shout out to our bud, Franco, who unfortunately had an incident at the courts today, and we needed to call EMS. I guess this is a good reminder for everybody to have a injury or illness prep, that we go through a routine and, just talk to everybody, make sure that they know where they may be a first aid kit, where the defibrillator may be, what do we want to do? People handled it really well this morning, but it was a good scare. Franco, we just want you to know that we're thinking about you and hoping you have a good recovery, and it won't be long. We know that you'll possibly be running some tests, and so we'll be praying for the best for you.
This is
All right, thanks, Vicki.
this is also this time of year. We have to make sure that we have a lot of water, a lot of Gatorade out with us when we're playing outdoors. With this heat wave we've had, we got to make sure we're really well hydrated, and that we have something to snack on too, because it is warm out there.
Yeah, I think Kevin made a good point today too, that don't just wait until you're feeling thirsty before you take a drink out on the court. He suggested, and Ken, I think you agreed, you should really start hydrating the night before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make sure you're putting a lot of fluids in your body.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Before.
Good point, Bud.
Actually, it was Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
And I think that will also bring up another thing too, was because there was a text that went around, a post that was talking about having access to a first aid kit and having access to all those other things. So it's we went through a little class with Stephen at Pelican Park, but I think it's good for all of us to ask the questions when we're at a different facility and just know where all the essentials are in case there is an emergency and you do need something.
So whatever facility you're playing in, you should probably know where the nearest first aid kit is, where there's an AED, and hopefully we have somebody on hand that knows CPR as well, because that can definitely come in handy.
All right, thanks again, Vicki. Ken, you want to take us through the tournaments?
Yeah, a quick update on the tournaments. So Sunday, June 25th, at Pelican Park, we have the Gulf Coast paddle battle. Michaela is putting that on. She's created a what is it called? She's created a thread, a GroupMe thread. Thank you, Vicki. Where a lot of people are communicating. If you need a partner, put that on there, or confirming your partner. Please communicate. I think there is still availability for this tournament. It's gulfcoastpb.com, so you can go online and register. Or look for the flyer on North Shore Pickleball, NOLA Regional Pickleball. You can find the flyer, and there's a phone number on the flyer where you can get in touch with Michaela, and she can help find a partner for you. Saturday, July 29th is the Daphne doubles tournament, 8 a.m. It's $30 a person. As far as I know, registration is still open for that one. The Big Easy tournament, it's August 4th through 6th. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the New Orleans Hilton. It'll be upstairs on the tennis courts. It's a great tournament. Registration is officially closed for that. There's over 400 people registered. They went over what they thought would be their limit by about 50 people. Right now, she's still trying to finalize the player list. I just got a text from her today. I'll read it. That there's a lot of interest in their 18th Ward Community Outreach paddle donation. Outreach clinic set for Friday from noon to 3. And they're also asking for paddle donations. So they're going to post on the website where people can buy a beginner set of 2 paddles and 6 balls for a $29 donation. Also, I think Friday, if you come Friday or at any point during the tournament and you have an old paddle, you can bring it as a donation. A Friday night will be open play on 8 courts at the Hilton. And there's going to be some good food and an open bar. So, and we'll get more information as we get closer. So that's exciting. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it is full. So we're looking forward to that. A tournament that I failed to mention last week is on August 10th through 13th. That's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's the New Orleans Pickleball Fest. It's the inaugural. It's Drew Brees and Brittany are putting this tournament on. There is still a lot of availability in this tournament. It's at the Ernest Morial Convention Center in downtown New Orleans. There are a couple of groups that are full and on a wait list, and it's mainly 3-0 and 3-5, 50 plus. But if you're still interested, there's still availability, and that should be fun. It's going to be indoors, and I forget the name of the court, but instead of playing on the concrete, they're rolling out this special pickleball court for everybody to play on. And there'll also be a championship court with an exhibition match during the tournament. The tournament for men's and women's is 2 days. It's either Thursday and Saturday or Friday and Saturday. So you play part of your bracket on one day and the other part on the next day. And if you make it to the championships, all the championship games will be on Sunday. So that's August 10th through 13th at the New Orleans Convention Center. Let's see. There is also Paddles at the Plex. That's happening September 7th through 10th. That's in Opelika, Alabama. They're about to open registration for that tournament. Of course, we know that's always a blast playing in Opelika. August 23rd through 27th is the Gastric Cancer Foundation Charity Tournament in Foley at the Foley Event Center. October 7th and 8th is both the Pickle Pink at Pelican Park in Mandeville and the St. Francisville, Louisiana tournament. Both of those registration has not opened yet. October 10th through 14th is an inaugural Vicksburg tournament. 50 teams per day will play round robin. We haven't got an application yet. If we do, we'll pass it along. And the last tournament I'll mention this time is the Hollow Wheel. That's October 27th through 29th. That's a great fundraiser. They are probably close to max or at max at this point. So if you want to get in, Google Hollow Wheel. It's at Breck's Highland Park Tennis Center in Baton Rouge. That's a fun weekend just to hang out. It's a great fundraiser, and there's auction and there's good food each day, and just a fun time. So that's it for today, Bud, on the tournament update.
Thank you. Hey, Ken, just one question. Did you see any? I'm not playing in the Drew Brees thing, but I'd like to go down and watch it. Is there any fees just to go in and watch? Have you heard?
That is a good question, Bud, and I do not know if there's a charge just to go. just to come in and watch. So I'll try to find that out and report back.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks for the updates, Vicki and Ken. Now let's jump into our topic. And I think, Vicki, you're going to kick us off today.
All righty. It's my favorite topic of all, right? Drills.
All right.
Drill Queen at it again. We can't stress enough the importance of drills and how much drills can do for your game and help you progress. I lecture our students all the time that whatever we're teaching you to do and the fundamentals with the skills that you're learning, try no matter what to get out and instead of just playing games, work on those skills, work on, whether it's dinks or it's volleys, wherever you feel like you maybe need to do some. Third shot drops is a huge one that people need to spend more time drilling on. But we just can't stress enough the importance of it and how much it helps your game. We've been working for 2 years now, I think it is, or a little over 2 years, maybe, with the group that we have that's very regular on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And just the progress and watching everybody, how it has impacted their games has just been, such a joy. It's been amazing. And seeing everybody now learn to take those drills and transition to their games is even more fun. And I think that a lot of people in the group have even learned to say, well, today let's work on this in our games. So even in the game situation, rather than just going in and playing, rec play however it goes, they even are focusing on certain things in those games and really learning a lot by doing that too. So, one of the things that I love to talk about with drills is I think that drills, everybody hears about muscle memory, which is so true. You're repeating and repeating and repeating. And it becomes muscle memory. You got ball control. You learn how to slow the ball down. But the biggest thing that always gets me excited is that you're training your brain in so many ways. And you can take these drills, take them from a very slow perspective, slow them down, learn what the mechanics are, look at building it over time, and then you can get faster and faster and more competitive with what you're doing with your drills, and even get your skill taken off that much more. So, it's kind of one of my favorite things to talk about. It's one of my favorite things to do is drill. Yes. Anybody else, Jeff?
Yeah, in listening to you talk, for me, Vicki, so your drills take us through what I like to call the meat and potatoes. You take us through, dinking and drop shots, cross court, straight up, and all of that stuff. But then it for me, I like to drill with whoever will drill with me. Sometimes you can only find one person, but that's a really good time to figure out. All of us know what shot gives you trouble. And I'm going to give a for instance. For me, it used to be the dink that came on my inside leg when I'm playing on the left side. That dink that kind of forced in on my inside leg, which, by the way, is an uncomfortable spot to put a dink on most people. I had trouble with that. So with several drilling partners, I just got them to keep putting that ball there, and just working on it and working on it and working on it. And over time, I shored that little portion of my game up. All of us know our games better than anybody. That's and right. You know what shots are weak for you, so try to replicate that with somebody in drills to to kind of fix some of the holes in your game. Don't just work on the stuff that you do well, for sure.
That's right. Ken?
Well, I think the biggest thing with drilling is that you're able to repeat a shot 50, 100, 200 times, and you won't get that in a day's play. the amount of times that you're hitting that same shot over and over again. I know for us, we started drilling with just dinking in the beginning, dinking and drop shots. And in early on playing, very few of our games had much dinking, because most of the people were hitting the ball hard, not hitting a third shot drop. But we kept working on it. And eventually, once we got into games with, for us that were the advanced players that were playing that game, then we started to feel a little comfortable getting in a dink rally, because we had been drilling the dink over and over and over again. But I think that's the key. You can't work on a shot in rec play, because most shots will only happen, just a couple of times a game, and unless you're getting into a higher level game that people are hitting consistent third shot drops and getting into dink rallies, and then you're working on most of your shots. But even practicing advanced shots like ATP or an Ernie or other shots that you're trying to perfect for when that one time comes, that's where you want to spend your time working over and over again on whatever it is that you're just trying to become more comfortable and build that muscle memory on. So
That's right.
Yeah. Can you just remind it?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Vicki.
I was going to say Bud looked like he might want to add a little something there too.
One of my weakest shots was always the cross court backhand dink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I've worked on at our drilling sessions that we do.
That is.
And now I'm very comfortable doing it. And I feel like it's really one of my better shots now, because I don't think most people expect me to be able to do it, for an extended period of time. And I know today in one game, I probably hit 10 in a row.
Right.
And the other person I was hitting them at finally got frustrated and tried to hit a crash shot up the middle, and it went right in the net.
That's awesome.
So for me, it was just a game of attrition at that point.
Well, I know when we are teaching beginners and we introduce the dink, even a forehand dink is a foreign shot to most people coming to pickleball. And then by the second class, when we introduce the backhand cross-court dink, the balls are going in all different directions. It's because they're just not used to it. They're not used to hitting that type of shot with the back of the paddle. But by the third or fourth or fifth session, you just see a vast improvement, because we spend the first 10, 15 minutes of each class working on our dinks, cross court and straight ahead. And you can see the progression already just in the students in our beginner class. So it's just reinforcing, proof that just the repetition of working a shot over and over again is really what is going to make it become more natural for you and more comfortable.
I was going to say, another thing that I try to do at drills, the whole time I'm there, I'm wanting to be consistent. And any balls that I'm getting, I want to keep them out of the net. I want to get them up and over. Sure, you want to get offensive with some of them, when you can. But just trying to be consistent. The net is that third opponent on the court. And if you sit there and watch a game at rec play and keep a tally of how many balls go into the net, you'd be shocked. That's where the point ends a lot of times. So the whole time I'm drilling, I'm trying to keep the ball definitely in play. And the other thing I was going to mention, Ken, when you talked about Ernies and ATPs, if you're sitting there, when you're cross-court dinking with somebody, and I see it all the time, the ball goes wide and it goes out, and nobody tries an ATP. That's your chance. Even if the ball goes wide and it's out, get over there and try to hit an ATP and see what you can do. See if you can put it in that back corner. If you don't ever try it, you're definitely never going to get one, and that's a perfect opportunity in a drilling situation, because a lot of times the ball does go wide.
Yeah, we actually did that the other day, where we did our normal drill that if somebody pulls you wide, we dink back to the middle, go back to the safe area so that you can work your way back in. You may be unsteady, you may have something else going on, but we work on, sending it wide. And we really now have decided, let's add it in. And that if it does go really wide, take that opportunity and try that ATP for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I know I never tried ATPs until we started drilling. And that exactly what you said, Jeff. When you get that opportunity on a wide dink, just to try it, and now I'll try an ATP all the time.
You almost had one against me and the person I was playing with the other day.
Yeah.
That's great.
And
it's good to see.
yeah.
Janice is getting really good at them.
Oh yeah.
Another important point here with drilling is sometimes people are looking for a drilling group. But, Vicki, your drilling group, really started because we wanted to drill and couldn't find, a group to drill with. And we were still, just getting into the sport. We were probably less than a year in, and we wanted to work on our shots, work on our dinks and our third shot drops and everything else. And so we just kind of started the group ourselves, and it just turned out to be something that was real popular with a lot of the people at Pelican Park, and initially the drilling group grew, to be very large, and then it kind of paused for a little bit and then restarted it. But that's for anybody who's looking for a drill group, is find one or three other people and just start a drill group with a few people that are near your skill level. They don't have to be identical to your skill level, and just go out at least once a week and get in touch with us or Google drills. There's a lot of material out there on the internet and YouTube on basic drills, starting with dinks and starting with third shot drops and working your way into the transition zone through back up to the no volley zone. And, you can go on and on, resetting. So there's just so many different shots and drills that you can work on, and just take a few, start off with a few and start to get comfortable, and then spice it up with some different drills as you go along. But,
no doubt. And it's a good point that people need to do that, and they can put their groups together. I guess the one thing that I would say to make sure of is that you're not so off balanced that it's not beneficial for both people. You definitely want to be with people who are similar in your skill level, because either one side's not going to benefit because they're hitting it and it's not coming back to them the way that it should be. There's not enough ball control. Then you're chasing balls, or it gets to be a little bit chaotic with some of the drills. And if it is more, if it's closer to your skill level, you can then keep things going, challenge each other, keep that ball steady. I mean, again, we're talking about hitting the ball so many times in repetition. And so it's important that you do that with each other, and that you're not just chasing balls. Let it be beneficial to both parties, both sides.
Yeah.
But we're there to help.
And I would say plan your drilling session. Plan your drilling session. Don't just walk out on the court with a couple of people and say, let's hit some dinks. Let's do, Vicki always comes out with a list of things that we're going to do that day. And I think everybody who puts together a drill group, that ought to be what you do. If it's one person that does it every time, or if you rotate it around, but come out with a plan on what you want to accomplish that day and the drills that you're going to do to accomplish that.
Great advice.
Mm-hmm. And for the most part, the other secret sauce is that these drills are cooperative drills, right? The goal for most of these are keeping the ball in play and not getting competitive and trying to win the drills. It's real important, and it's real important in most drills that you return the ball back to the core or back to a particular location, on your opponent's side, so that they can And in a way, you're working your muscle memory to control the ball, to place it in a particular spot. Come game time, if you've got the control, then you obviously pick the open spot or try to move your opponent around. But for these drills, it's really your muscle memory is placement, and the placement is back to a spot that they can return the ball back to you for the most part. So.
That's right.
And that's probably the most important thing about the drills is it's providing you with consistency in your game. When we all need that. I mean, most of the time, the most consistent team that keeps the ball in play and makes the other team make mistakes is going to be the team that wins. So, and that's what drills can do for you. So, you might get out there and not be able to. I remember it seemed like we couldn't keep 10 or 15 dinks going in a row, and now most of us can sit there and hit dinks back and forth with each other. I don't want to say all day, but for a long time. It took some time to get there, and then once you get that consistency with the dinks, then start get a little more offensive with them. But I would want to take my game from being consistent and then playing a little more risky than to be one of those players that's just risky, hitting the ball all over the place, and you're trying to find that consistency. I think it's a much better game plan to get consistent, keep the ball in play through drills, and then start trying to get a little more offensive or hit the ball a little harder or push it a little further at them. After you've worked on your consistency and gotten it there.
Right. That's a really good point. I know that's one thing that the drilling has helped me with is I've always, or not always, but until I started drilling and really thinking about it, my game was always how can I make the next shot the winner? Instead of keeping the ball in play. And most of the time, that decision was a poor decision because I wasn't in the position to make a winner.
And Bud, that's a great point because in rec play, that seems to be more common than not. That people are trying to create the winning shot no matter the situation. I know at times I've been guilty of that, but just being able to keep the ball in play and making them hit one more shot and moving them around. Like Jeff said, that consistency, that really is that's really the kind of more of the secret sauce to success than trying to hit the winner. So.
Right. And that's where we go back to training your brain, because that's the change that you make internally in thinking about how you're going to play the game.
Yeah. Ken, I was thinking about, this has been 3 to 4 years ago. But you remember the progression that you went through with your serve. You had a good hard serve, but let's say if you hit it 100 times, maybe 30 of them were going out of bounds or into the net. And we talked about and you dialed it back a little bit and kept working on your serve. And getting it more consistent through drills is how you did it. And now you've worked your serve to where it's very consistent. We all miss serves, but you've got it to where it's consistent. If you're hitting it too hard and it's going into the net or out of bounds, well, then dial it back a little bit, because the more you take off of it, the softer you hit the ball, the more control you have. The harder you hit it, the less control you have. So you got to kind of find that sweet spot. And we used to talk about it. We would talk back and forth, and you would be like, "Well, what do you think about my serve?" And I'm like, "Well, your serve's really good, but just work on finding that sweet spot of where you may hit. Say if you hit 100, you might hit 10 out of bounds. Well, and they go out the back line. We would say, hey, those are built in the budget. You've got a good, strong serve with a lot of top spin, and you got it consistent. If 1 or 2 or 3 goes out the back line every now and then, that's just kind of built in the budget there. But again, that's where drills can bring consistency to your game.
Yeah.
If that's
right.
something that people are struggling with, get your serve in, get it in every time, try to get it in every time, and then work on being a little more aggressive with it.
Yeah.
You're not going to improve your serve playing rec ball once a week, once or twice a week. It ain't going to happen. You got to get out with a bucket of balls and, hit serve after serve after serve.
Yep.
So like Vicki says, it becomes muscle memory, and it's just one motion. And that's what Ken serve is. I mean, it's always coming at you with a lot of topspin all the time.
That's right.
Yep.
Got to be in the 90s at this point. Yeah.
Hard to perfect that. It's been 2 summers ago, but talking about, okay, I was down here in Venice during the summer working, nobody to drill with. I'd set up 2 tables and I would work on a variety of things, but one thing that I worked on was my serve, and I just set up a tape box on the tables, and the box was about 3 foot high or a little bit higher, and I would just serve aiming at that box, trying to hit a box, about, I don't know, it was maybe 2 foot by 2 foot square. And over the course of that summer, I didn't have anybody to drill with when I was down here, but I was able to improve my game, especially my serve, by aiming at that box.
Right.
And
Well,
if you can't find somebody,
I was going to say, you
Vicky.
brought up consistency, but that's also where accuracy comes in. And
Exactly. I
that's
was
where
working on both.
the use of targets, I believe in targets,
Yes.
targets. And that's where
Yes.
your accuracy. So it's the consistency, getting it where you want it. It now becomes accuracy.
Well, you bring up a
Yep.
good point, Jeff. The argument can be, well, I don't have anybody to start start drilling with. But, if you don't have a wall at your house, an outdoor wall or wall in a garage, you could be innovative like you were and just set up a long 6-foot table on its end and put a piece of tape on it and just dink to the table, and you slowly get closer and closer then you start digging out of the air against the table. But that you're still building muscle memory. You're becoming more familiar with how the ball comes off of your paddle, and that can be helpful. That in itself, if without a dinking partner or a drilling partner, just to get started. So
That's right. And that's why we talk about it too, being a touch and feel sport. And so we even encourage people to go home and just bob the ball on their paddle, do it so many times forehand, so many times backhand. I talk about the self dinks all the time. You bob, let it bounce, bob, let it bounce, and you bend down and you're doing a self dink, so there are things that you can do on your own just to continue to keep the feel of the ball and the paddle going.
Yep.
And
That has a lot to do with touch. Touch.
It does. It does.
Well,
I
and
like
I'll tell
Simone
you.
Jardine said
Oh, I'm sorry.
is
Go
that
ahead.
it's catching, sort of like taking the ball and taking the heat off of it and then sending it where you want it to be. So again, that's touchy feely, and that comes over time, but it is something you have to develop. Go ahead, Ken.
And I think we could get a pretty good list of people that would, give a confirmation that drilling for the last 6, 12, 18 months has had a big positive impact on their game. I know Bud would definitely agree. Vicki would agree. There's, other people that are, in the drilling group that Vicki leads that would sign up to admit that this has just made a big difference. Besides any other work that they may be doing outside the drilling group, but the drilling group has just really been helpful for a lot of people. So,
Well, you remember this morning, Ken, what Kevin said.
mm-hmm.
Kevin commented that he has noticed a noticeable improvement with the people that do the Tuesday, Thursday 4.0 drillers with Vicki. Across the board, he said.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Wow.
And I know it has helped me tremendously. I mean, I Tuesday's my favorite day now for pickleball.
That's what I hear.
You're
Every day of the
seeing what
week.
it's doing. You're seeing what it's doing, bud. So it makes you
Oh
want to be
yeah,
there. You know.
That's right.
absolutely.
No, I mean, it's so invaluable. It truly is. And to hear everybody say that is just so wonderful. But then to see it come to fruition and see them on the court, challenging opponents that maybe they weren't able to challenge before. Or the other thing that is really been a joy to watch is that the points are longer. Everybody gets
Oh yeah,
excited. They start jumping up and down and like, whoa, that was a great pickleball point, and it's
yeah.
just nice to be able to see that these points are not just 1-2 hits and somebody tries to put it away, but that they are really trying to get to the no volley line and trying to do what they've done in drills and have these points go longer and
Well,
definitely
yeah.
more.
The drilling, it gives you that confidence to try those shots that you've been uncomfortable trying. Whether it's a third shot drop, whatever, and trying to set up an Ernie, an ATP, resetting from the transit, whatever it might be. It's those drills slowly give you the confidence to try that in rec play, and then once you start to have success, it changes your game. Yeah, it changes the way you approach a point, you approach a rally. So
Yeah, and sometimes it could be something really simple as far as keeping your paddle in the ready position. I mean that right there. If I walk around during drills and see it down and it's paddles up, paddles up, paddles
Yeah.
up. If you
Yeah.
continue to do that, after a while, this becomes your natural stance. It becomes there's no issue with getting that paddle right back up. It's ingrained in your brain. So even something as simple as that, if you're not doing drills, it's not something that you're going to pay that close attention to. So
the other key takeaway here is that if you don't know of a drill group in your area, start one. Even if it's just
Yep.
one
There
other
you go.
person, just get a regular thing going at your local pickleball complex, and before you know it, you're going to have your text messages and your phone ringing with people saying, "Hey, I want to join your drilling group." So
we're happy to help in any way we can. Drop us a message on here if we can. If you have any questions or there's something that we can do to help you out, but we're definitely always available to help out in any way we can.
Yeah, definitely. If you do have questions for Vicki or anybody else, leave us a comment, and we'll get back to you.
Well, that's it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave any comments and please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again and see you next week.